If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
Oh boy, Benchwarmers, it's a good thing that we finally get to have this episode because I've been sitting on a lot of takes. There's been no shortage of drama in the sports world, and this is one of those weekends where I think we can all sit here and agree sports are men's Kardashians. It makes no sense. We absorb too much of our lives into it, but I wouldn't have it any other way, and it's not like I'm ever going to stop. But wow, the drama that we had and here's how you know it was crazy. The weirdest thing that happened wasn't the fact that Jake Browning had a Brett Favre-esque performance, only having like 5 incompletions and 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, and winning a game in overtime on Monday Night Football. That's the least weird thing that happened this week. Welcome in, everybody. Episode 163, Far End of the Bench podcast. Jimmy Pilato, Nico Bryant. A lot to touch on. We're going to talk about it all. We have a lot of recaps to get into. Before we get to that, be sure to follow at FEOTB Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you for everybody who tuned in to our live episode last week. And be sure to mark your calendar. Next Tuesday, it is time. 4th annual Far End of the Bench College Bowl Pick'em Show. The gang is getting back together. Dom is defending his title. Jeremy's coming back as a guest contributor and a guest picker. And Nico and I are going to try and salvage some pride in this event because it hasn't been pretty the last couple of years. With that, I'll bring in my co-host now. Nico, it was... I don't know if you're as excited as I am to have this show because I just need to get some stuff off my chest with everything that I've been hearing and having to absorb over the past 72 hours, it seems like, when all hell broke loose.
It was what we thought last weekend was craziness with all the rivalry week and everything. It turned into even more madness all across the board. And do we have the 4 best teams? That remains to be seen. Do we have drama everywhere? Yes, we do. That's plain and simple. It's like, look, the College Football Playoff Committee. We'll just jump right into it. The College Football Playoff Committee has given us our own little mini NFL offseason where it's just drama everywhere with everyone bitching about this, that, or the other thing. And look, it's this 14 playoff was the biggest fucking joke the NCAA has ever created. I'm very, very happy that the 12 team will be in place next year because this is ridiculous. And I can't believe that, of course, the last year of its existence, this much drama is happening. But then again, I can because the world goes around the same way everything else does.
Yes, I'm going to set the stage a little bit for this just because there may be people tuning in that are more basketball and not diehard college football fans. But the reason why we're sitting here, we go back to last weekend, conference championship weekend. All the conversation going into, we had the same conversation. How is the committee going to view Florida State with the injury to Jordan Travis, whether they win or lose their conference championship? What is the SEC bias going to be this year? Is it going to be Georgia and Alabama no matter what? Is it going to be winner of the SEC championship goes in? Is Texas going to have a fair shake if everybody continues to win at the top? And if Washington, the other question was if Washington loses, are they going to be able to hold on to one of these top 4 spots? That was all of the questions going into last weekend. Then we have the games play out the way they did. Washington in the Pac-12 championship takes care of business and does the hardest thing to do in football. And in college football, it should be spoken to a little bit more. They beat the best team on their schedule that they could have had to face twice. And did it in a big-time moment.
9.5-point underdogs, by the way.
Yes.
For whatever reason. You bet your ass I was all over that.
You bet Washington, even though on the show you predicted Oregon?
Yeah, I did bets this weekend that went against my picks. Absolutely, it did. But when I saw 9.5, I was like, yeah, there's no chance this is not a close game. There's no chance in hell. Maybe Oregon made it interesting. They could have won that game still in the end if they had made some plays down the stretch. But there's no doubt in my mind that would have been a close game. There was no chance in hell that fucking Oregon was a 9.5 points better. And look, I'll even stand on the fact we won't go into predicting things, but Washington being a 4.5-point dogs against fucking Texas is getting even juicier. I mean, come on now.
Take that.
keep doubting this Washington Huskies team. Michael Penix Jr., I don't care about Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels isn't playing postseason football. Michael Penix Jr. is the hottest player in college football right now. He is doing things that other quarterbacks across the country have not been able to do, and he has been doing incredible things. Beating Oregon twice is something that no other team in the country has been able to do. Beat the best team on their schedule twice. No one, and they did it twice and left no doubts that they're one of the best 4 teams.
They had a very tough ass way to get to the playoff because the Pac-12 this year was an absolute shark tank, and people said that it was ugly, which is why they were kind of had the conversation, should they stay in, even if they lose, but they just handled business. And Kalen DeBoer, I would say probably coach of the year in the Power 5 in the Pac-12, undefeated. This is the first time since 1991 that program is undefeated, and I gave him his flowers last week, but it is true. Like the consistency in this Washington program, it's year over year, and now going into the Big Ten where there's going to be a little bit more resources and you get it in front of more national audiences, people are going to start seeing that a lot more. But the Washington Huskies earned that 3-point victory in the Pac-12 championship, 34-31. And that play, I got goosebumps watching that play where they break the first down, the running back got to where he needed to, and then he went down. He's like, I'm good. I just locked up my conference championship ring. We are the last ever Pac-12 champions, and hello Big Ten next year. We're gonna see how this thing rolls. That was the way.
If you told me 5, 6, 7 years ago the Pac-12 would be disbanded, I'm like, all right, that unfortunately, that's the way college football and college sports is becoming. And you told me that the Washington Huskies would be the last remaining Pac-12 champion, last remaining conference of champions. And for football, I would be like, you're high. I did not expect that under my wildest circumstances, especially with what Caleb Williams has shown the last couple of years and what Oregon has done and what the UCLAs have done and the Arizona ASUs, like the company, like, I would have never guessed that in a million years, but here they are, and they show that last year a relevancy because look, the Pac-12 may still be a conference, it just won't be the same exactly what it was. The last year of relevancy, they come out on top. It's crazy.
They earned it, and that was the kickoff to the weekend. Then the next game that ended up taking place was the Big 12 championship. Texas held serve. I said that there was a chance they weren't going to win, but I thought they should. And Quinn Ewers, Texas and company. Quinn Ewers, 450 yards, 4 touchdowns, says he's coming back to Texas next year, which we talked about on Talking the Gridiron.
The only reason why he can do that is because he can be the number 1 quarterback coming out of next year's draft. He's not.
Yeah, and he's going to get if he wins a playoff game for Texas, Matthew McConaughey is going to get that kid an NIL deal where he's going to be like, you know what? How many degrees can I get from college? How many times can I get back on this roller coaster ride? Because I ain't leaving. Matthew McConaughey is paying my bills. But 450, 4 touchdowns. He's coming back, which makes things interesting with Arch, the transfer portal. Nothing's happened yet, but that's been kind of the conversation circulating around Texas. But hey, you're back. You're in relevancy because you win that Big 12 championship the way that you did. And I'm going to say it, but Florida State barely squeaks by Louisville in a tough-fought ACC championship. You see it scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Florida State finishes 13-0, and they are the first team out of the Final Four because they put in Texas, who's the Big 12 champion. They put in Alabama, who pulls off the upset. We said you're riding off Georgia too quickly. Riding off Bama too quickly. And Georgia just didn't ever take advantage and step on their throat the way that they needed to. And Jalen Milroe, he is rope-a-doping his way to playoff success because he's the top 4 team that's remaining. They're getting a shot at another national title under Nick Saban, but it is total rope-a-dope because you get the absolute dog shit beat out of you for 3.5 quarters, and then you have 5 minutes at the end of a game or a possible overtime scenario, and you have 3 or 4 really nice plays, and you end up winning. But hey, Jalen Milroe, you are an SEC champion. I can't take anything away from you. I tried to take it away from Coker when he won an SEC championship and a national title. I couldn't. So I can't take anything away from him too. This is herein lies the rub. That Florida State being dropped, Texas and Alabama being put in. Even if I think Florida State just sticks at number 4, people aren't nearly as upset. But that really stuck in people's craw, and the reaction videos have been viral on the internet. And I know that we we kind of had differing opinions going into it. I predicted this. I said if everything transpired the way that it did, Alabama beats Georgia, Alabama would be the 4th, Michigan, Florida, Washington, Texas would be the other 3. I had it in a different order. I gave Washington more credit for that double win against Oregon. I had them 1 over Michigan, but hey, the committee did what they did. They wanted to change up the matchups, and now we have, I think, the best semifinal of the era. But now it's let's just talk about the elephant in the room.
Look, I have a bone to pick because, in my opinion, what I said, I stand on everything I said. And what I said was Florida State is deserving to be in the Final Four. But the only problem is that there's 4 other teams that are also deserving. And look, I believe there's 5 teams deserving to be in the Final Four. If you go undefeated in a Power 5 conference and you don't make the Final Four playoff, then there's something wrong with it. Look, I don't care if how they finish against Louisville. If you wanted to don't want to take into account football games and teams winning football games, this is the reason why the Big Ten and SEC are becoming the power mega Super Bowl conferences. It's because the little ACC, a team who ran the table against Clemson, Miami, Duke, North Carolina, Louisville, every team they put in front of them, they beat. And you still don't put them in. Alabama, look, there's a running joke in the 2010s. The college football playoff is a fucking Alabama Invitational. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that the 4 best teams aren't in. Because in my opinion, they are, right? I think Alabama, Michigan is going to be the best game, probably the best game out of the 2. And I think Washington, Texas is going to be a hell of a game. I have no problem with how it finishes. But I have a problem with people saying Florida State doesn't deserve it. Because they absolutely deserve it. Because the question comes about a couple things here. One, if Jordan Travis injures his leg, say, a couple weeks earlier, and Florida State still wins out, do they make the playoff?
It depends on how they.
That's the question.
But
if
I
they
get
win
it.
out,
Here's
Jordan Travis gets injured week 3 or 4. 3 or 4. If he gets injured 3 or 4, they win. Do they make the playoff?
I understand your question. I understand your question. Can I respond to that question though? It depends on how you look after this injury. There is a precedent set with the situation.
If you win
no,
out,
but I know
I know what you're saying.
I know what you're saying. But it's the precedent set from Cardale Jones. It's the precedent set from Cardale Jones because they lost their starting quarterback and their backup quarterback and their third string in Ohio State, went in there and won games and made you confident that that team was still going to go in and have a chance to compete.
That's true.
I'm not sitting here and telling anybody that it isn't unfair. And I'm not sitting here and telling anybody that Florida State is unheard of. And I want to read this tweet because it's heartbreaking. This is the reality of what this kid is going through. Jordan Travis tweeted this out. Devastated, heartbroken, in so much disbelief. I wish I broke my leg earlier in the season so y'all could see this team as much more than the quarterback. I thought results matter, 13-0, and this roster matches up across any team in those top 4 rankings. I'm so sorry. Go Noles. It's awful. Awful.
The only reason why Florida State is not playing playoff football is because the guy got injured. Okay, let's look at just the rest of the teams right around there. Georgia loses to Alabama, they don't get in. Right? Alabama loses to Texas, they have to be put behind Texas. Texas loses to an Oklahoma team at the end of the year is ranked in the top outside the top 10. Okay, you look at Texas's record of things. They didn't beat a lot of good teams. They barely beat some bad teams. Yes, they trounced Oklahoma State at the end of the year. I agree. But it really, like I said, we are displaying a type of college football where it doesn't fucking matter what you do. We're going to pick who we think is the best. If you go to the NFL, you go to the fucking NHL, NBA, and you tell a bunch of former head coaches, be like, you know what? Go pick the 4 best teams and do it, and don't even base it on anything else outside of what's fucking Alabama. Because I'll be honest with you, Jimmy,
it's ridiculous.
There's not a person that can tell me. There's not a person that can tell me that Ohio State and Georgia aren't better than Texas.
On any given day, that's a hell of a game. Both those games would be hell of a matchup.
Because if you want to play the 4 best team argument, which people have, and like I said, if you want to look, if conference championships don't matter, and that's basically what we said with Florida State, because if they didn't beat them by enough, that's what we're saying. Full conference championships don't matter.
Aren't there 4 conference champions in the college?
Yes, there is. There is, but an undefeated conference champion. I'm making the case for a deserving team. And that's all I'm doing is because this is why college basketball is the fucking mecca of college sports, college playoffs. Because anybody can, it doesn't matter who the fuck matters. Anybody can beat anybody. And there's zero doubts who the best team in the country is. There's zero doubts. There's zero doubts. And look, I cannot sit here. You cannot sit here and tell me that Texas and Alabama, look, Alabama's better than Georgia. There's zero doubt about that. But you can't tell me a one-loss Ohio State team who only lost to the best team in the country, right? The number one team in the country. One-loss Ohio State team is worse than a one-loss by 3 rankings, by the way. By 3 rankings. 3 rankings worse than a one-loss Texas team. That's what you're saying by keeping Florida State and Ohio State and Georgia out of this. Because if you want the 4 best teams, Ohio State would be in there, Georgia would be in there. Plain and simple. And look, I'm arguing against the wall here because I think this is the best college football playoff we could have got. Do I think Florida State could have beat Michigan? No, I still don't. I don't care. Even with Jordan Travis, I don't think they would have beat Michigan. Seriously, I don't think they would have. So because I think that highly of what Michigan's doing. But I'm not going to sit here and act like this. Like those who are saying Florida State doesn't fucking deserve it are the reason. Like you can't be on the side of the fence where you're saying Florida State doesn't deserve it, and also be mad about the conferences disappearing. Because this is the reason you cannot be on the same side of the fence. Because if you have a problem with Florida State being in the playoff or deserving it, you cannot be saying college football's dying because of the conferences. No, this is a reason why teams are fucking jumping to the Big Ten, jumping to the SEC. Because if Texas doesn't want to be, Texas doesn't ever want to be in a position Florida State does. Because Texas was good a long time ago. Florida State, good a long time ago. If Texas and Florida State, if they were in the same scenario where Quinn Ewers went down, goes to Oklahoma State, loses, and they miss the playoff and they were undefeated, it'd be the same bullshit. And look, I just feel bad because Florida State, in my opinion, still showed their defense that they're a top 4 team in the country. I think that there's 4 more teams. I think there's 4 more teams deserving. But to sit here and say Florida State doesn't deserve it, you're the reason why college football is dying.
No, I will tell everybody the issue. So I want to see the first college football playoff is the issue here. When we established the first college football playoff all the way back in 2015, when we said that there was going to be 4 teams eligible, knowing you had 5 conferences that we consider the Power 5. This was inevitable. Yeah. And it's inevitable when you have to try and use logic in an illogical argument. I tried to explain that last week, but the committee gets all of this criteria and they decide what criteria goes with what team. And they wrote it into their bylaws that they can look at recent availability of players. And if it seems like that's going to affect the performance of the team, they have that ability to say, hey, nope, I'm sorry. You're undefeated. You won a Power 5 conference, but we have written it into our bylaws that we can decide to leave you out. The reason why the NBA, the NFL doesn't have this issue, college basketball, is because it's very clear, black and white, objective as to who gets in. You have 7 spots in both conferences in the NFL. You have 8 spots in both conferences in the NBA. And if you don't finish with a record good enough to qualify you for those 8 spots because you play against everybody or as many people as you can, then it's clear you did not qualify. And you can't just there's the selection show sucks. The fact that there's a selection process at all sucks. I said on Talking the Gridiron, go to the college basketball format, which is what every other college sport uses. D2, D1 AA, wrestling, basketball, track, cross country. It doesn't matter. That's the qualifier. You win this many games, you qualify for a tournament at the end of the season. And the tournament includes everybody. Because everybody should have a shot.
Because if you
reserve,
it doesn't. And look, I think Mike Greenberg said this best. College football this year turned into damn figure skating, where it's a judgment decision. It became a judgment decision.
Florida State.
It became a judgment decision because you know what? I like this team better. Than a couple guys in a room said, I think this team is better than those guys. That's literally what this became.
That's perfect.
That's what it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And look, I'm very, very happy this is gone. I feel for Florida State because, look, it's a team that scheduled 2 SEC opponents, by the way, on their schedule.
And won.
And won.
And won.
You have the supposed Heisman favorite, by the way, Jaden Daniels, who they went in on the road and beat, by the way. They went in on the road and beat. Yes, I'm aware Jordan Travis doesn't play for them anymore. But in a world full of, you know what, it's a team sport. They seem to be hyping up one player way too much. And look, I'm not going to say here Jordan Travis doesn't make a difference, because he does. He does make a difference.
He does.
But
there are ways that Florida State.
There's 22.
Florida State learned how to win without Jordan Travis those last 2 weeks. And I told them, here's my thing. I was being intentionally obtuse during those 2 weeks of Florida State schedule, not because I don't like Florida State. I have no ill feelings towards that program. I don't have a college program. I'm not a huge CU fan. I have no allegiances.
I don't either. That's anywhere.
I know, but if I'm sitting there and I was looking at Florida State, I was judging them on the criteria I knew what the College Football Playoff Committee was going to be judging them on. You have to score 80 points those last 2 weeks. If you don't score 80 points with your backup quarterback those last 2 weeks of the season, all of those stuffy athletic directors and former coaches that are all doing this part-time, so they don't even have the capability of watching all the games, which is where we see the SEC bias, because they all live on the East Coast and nobody stays up late enough to watch anybody else. And it's weird, too, because we're talking about an East Coast bias, but Florida State is in Tallahassee. Florida State is a blue blood program in college football, yet it comes down to, if your kids can't stay healthy, then we're going to punish the entire program. It's a 53-man sport. There's 22 guys on each side, but that one missing piece is what we're really going to be harping on here.
It's ridiculous, and I heard
it takes away from everything.
Everything, literally everything. Like I said, I will harp on the fact that college basketball, March Madness tournament, is the greatest greatest tournament in all sports. And because like I said, at the end of the day, it's like anybody can be anybody. And you know what? The best team will come out of 68 standing up. I'm picking the best team out of 4 teams because you know what? I think look prettier than the other. That's what the committee said. I think Alabama looks
logical
prettier
sense why it was only 4. Makes absolutely no sense. It should have started at least at 6.
I 100% agree. And look, there's years in this college football playoff that there wasn't 4 deserving teams. let's not forget.
Yeah.
There was years
Michigan State
not
made
4
it 1 year.
teams.
Let's remind everybody, Michigan State did make it 1 year.
Yeah, there were some years where there was not 4 deserving teams. And like I said, it's crazy that we have 5, hell, 6, maybe 7.
Possibly 8.
Possibly 8. Like, it's crazy, but like here we are. And like I said,
it's great.
It's
awesome.
It's the 2 best matchups we may get, because I really have no idea how those 2 playoff games can go. I really don't have no idea, and that's probably the only reason why I'm happy with how it ended, is because I have no idea how those 2 games will go. But it hurts because because college football and the college football that everyone once loved, and all the people that were like, yeah, it needs to change because we love the olden days. You can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways, because this is the reason why you're becoming fucking super conferences where rivalries are dying, and the Iron Bowl, the game, that royalty is going to be gone because of the way conference realignment has said. So that's where I'm pissed off about it, because you cannot have both, and you cannot side on both sides. And look, I
would just like them to be honest.
And when we talk to Jeremy next week, he's going to have probably the same opinion I do, because he's going to be very, very fucking pissed off that he thinks that the one lost Ohio State team that lost to literally the number 1 team in the country didn't get in. And then look, like to play devil's advocate, Georgia won 28 games in a row.
28 straight games.
28 straight games. They lost 1 game.
Last team to beat them was Alabama with Bryce Young in the SEC championship 2 years ago.
And they lost 1 game, and they played 1 bad quarter, and they're out of playoffs.
It was 3 points.
It's crazy what this
3, and you drop out of playoff contention.
It really is, like I said, it really is just a fucking figure skating contest, right?
It's like a track race. Like since when did college football become track, where 0.2 of a second equals 8 places? It shouldn't. It really, because Kirby Smart made a good point. You can't look at Georgia and say, I don't think they're one of the best 4 teams. I do. I think a 2-loss Oregon team is probably one of the best 4 teams. And yeah, here's the great thing about the way we set up our content, since we have to get that show done, the Bull Pick'em show next week. We're going to get Jeremy's opinion on what happened. We're going to get Dom's opinion on what happened. And hey, guess what? It's not like anybody's not addicted to college football. We're all still going to watch all the bowl games. We're all still going to watch the playoff games. So we're going to make picks on them anyways. As pissed off and as butthurt as we may be that our teams aren't there, I'm still watching. I'm still making picks. I still want to win this damn thing.
Let me reemphasize. You're talking to 2 guys that have no dogs in literally any fight. Like I don't have a college football team. I have a college.
I'm turning into a Washington fan for the foreseeable.
Oh, I am 100%. I am. Look, I'm. Spoiler alert! I'm picking Washington to win it all. Like I have a future ticket. I have a future ticket already on it. Like I would love nothing.
I got an old school Washington shirt, so we should link up.
I would love nothing more. I would love nothing more.
We should do a podcast
than to have a Pac-12 championship in the final year of existence. I just would love it for the chaos. And like I said, I'm a guy that's a West Coast guy.
Give me what's that guy's name?
Bill Walton.
Yeah.
Look, I would love nothing more than a Pac-12 champion to win the last Final Four and win the last year of existence of Pac-12. I think it's chaos, and I think it's a big fuck you to every fucking committee person out there, because Washington, if they're the national champions, who the fuck's going to say something else otherwise? Because they would have beaten Texas, they would have beaten Alabama or Michigan, they would have been one of the most solidified national champions in probably the history of this 14 playoff. So I would love nothing more.
You just live here. I think Washington. I have an old school Washington shirt, so we're on the same page there. We're gonna make our predictions, obviously, next Tuesday live on our YouTube channel, and then everybody will be able to listen back. Those are some of our best reviewed episodes and most listened to episodes all year, and we're doing 4 years in a row. This is my 6th year picking Bulls. And we're smarter about it now. We're not picking all 84 or however many bowl games that there are, because that 1 year that we were there for 3 hours, I know you didn't want to be hosting for 3 hours. Savannah didn't want to be there. Dom dragged her for whatever reason. I think we should make an alliance. Here's my thinking, and I should message Jeremy on the side. Dom can't win next year. He can't. I can't deal with it anymore. He lives next door to me. He's my next door neighbor. I can't have that happen.
I hate doing this every single year because, look, I watch college basketball this time of the year still. Like don't get me wrong.
I have the in-season tournament on, Nico.
I know. I have Dilopes on TV playing number 25 San Diego State. Look, I love the playoff. I love all postseason play, but fucking miss me up for the Mayo fucking bowl. I think I'll pass on that.
I do not resemble that remark. Unfortunately I'm on a cruise for a portion of bowl season, but I think it automatically records to my YouTube TV. So I'm going to be watching all the bowl games. I'm making picks. I do the whole ESPN pick all the bowl games, and I do. I'm sick that way. I love the way Nico loves college basketball. I love college football, and I may even love college wrestling a little bit more because I've been watching a lot of college wrestling the last few days. Let's give a shout out to the other conference champions. So every Division I team that's a conference champion this week. Washington wins the Pac-12, Liberty Conference USA champion. Alabama wins the SEC championship over Georgia. Michigan wins the Big Ten championship over Iowa. Florida State ACC champion.
The
Texas
Iowa
Big 12
over
champion.
under the half a point is so damn funny, and the fact.
Shit! 0. I told you.
So
I told you. That was the fact that their offensive coordinator was the head coach's son, and
I saw a funny meme on TikTok. It's like when you have to fire your own because there's nothing else you can do about it. It's tough.
They did everything they could to try and have him keep that job, but it just wasn't enough. Texas, big win over Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship, 49-21. SMU wins the AAC, upsetting Tulane. They were 22nd in the country coming into that game, and they get the big win, 26-14. Miami wins the MAC. They are MACtion champions. Boise, you can take the Mountain West may not look the same, but you can guarantee 2 damn things. Boise's playing for a Mountain West championship, and Boise's goddamn winning a Mountain West championship because they take down UNLV, who I thought was going to handle them. UNLV was huge on the season, upset Air Force, upset everybody. And the Broncos just whooped that ass 44-20. And in the Sun Belt, you get Troy over Appalachian State. So Alabama gets 2 conference championships to celebrate over the weekend because I don't know if many people know this. Troy is in Alabama. I told you, I'm sick with college football. It's a literal sickness. Anything else that we want to touch on? I know that we're going to talk about it more with Jeremy and Dom next week for the College Bowl Pick'em show. How about we do this, Nico? Why should people tune in live next Tuesday? What's your favorite part about the College Bowl Pick'em show?
Because if you think Jimmy and I just got in a heated argument for fucking 20 minutes we've been talking about it now, you thought that was heated, wait till we add the hothead radio. That's all I'm gonna say. I love Jeremy to death, but my God, if you thought that was heated between two of us arguing pretty much over the same exact thing, not arguing as each other, arguing with each other,
we're just making the same point louder and louder. That's all we do. And then we're gonna add in a Miami Hurricane / Ohio State Buckeye / Indiana Hoosier fan. Hoosier.
Who has Ohio State out in the playoff? Former quarterback Michael Penix Jr. from Indiana in the college football playoff. Yeah, it's gonna be must watch or must listen radio. I think that's how I should call it. Must listen radio.
Yeah. Internet radio, podcasting. Tune in live next Tuesday, 7 p.m. on this YouTube channel, and then be sure to catch the replay if you miss any of that. We're going to talk a little bit of NHL because we didn't talk about hockey. We kind of skipped it because there was some other stuff that we talked about with the NFL. So looking at things now, basically everybody's about 25 games into an 82-game season. We're at the point where we're looking at just 10-game stretches. But I say we start with the Colorado Avalanche because from where they were the last time that we actually looked at the standings, they have moved up 2 spots. They are holding down the first spot in the Central Division. Still about 5 points behind Vegas as the number 1 seed in the West, but we don't want to win the President's Trophy. And if you're going to catch Vegas right now, you're winning the goddamn President's Trophy because Vegas has
had a tough little run last week and a half or so.
Yeah,
but
you can't win everything. Nico, before this little tough stretch, I think the last time they'd lost in regulation was last April. Yeah, so. Yeah. They are. I said it at the beginning of the season that Colorado let Vegas borrow the cup. We may have to go in and steal that thing. I don't think they're giving that back. I think they like it a lot, and they look pretty damn good. But the West is on a whole so much worse than the East. But I do think that we're going to see a Stanley Cup champion come out of the West again, just like we did last year, because it was. It's crazy. East kicking the shit out of each other.
He's kicking the shit out of each other. And on that East note, I do want to say Vasilevsky's back. And I hate pointing out that when I'm right. But Tampa Bay is currently sitting at 5th in its division with Vasilevsky finally returning. So I was right that they weren't going to be a top 3 team when Vasilevsky returns.
Holding down the playoff spot.
They're holding down a playoff spot, barely. We'll see how it ends. But like I said, they weren't going to be the same team without him because Josh Johansson ain't fucking barely in there. I'm sorry, but I had to.
We the Thunder, we apologize, but it has been tougher for them. They haven't picked up Corey Perry like I kind of predicted a couple of weeks ago because why you get fired from one team and then you go to your ex team's game the very next night, dude. You know people are watching you. Everybody hates you. You are literally. I think now that everybody else, him and Marchand are the 2 most hated players in the NHL, and now the Kachuk boys. Because they just rat everybody out. But, man, you know people are going to be watching. Why show up at that game? What was the point? I would like to know the thought process of Corey Perry. But then again, if a guy bangs his new teammate's mom, I don't think that there's much of a thought process going on there anyways. Looking over, we can start in the East kind of like we do. So if we're looking at playoff standings, Boston, Florida, Detroit would be in from the Atlantic.
Detroit has been a very, very good team thus far. The start of the season. They added Patrick Kane, and Kane hasn't played a minute yet. Up a minute of ice time. As we're recording this, obviously Thursday may be different, but as we're recording this, he hasn't played a minute of ice time. So Detroit looks like a real look. And look, it's crazy saying this, and I hate saying it, but hockey is somewhat better when the original six are doing good, is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say it's great. I'll say it's somewhat better when the original 6 are good teams.
I'm going to say that Florida is my surprise because Florida is doing this, and they did it for a while without their top 2 defensemen. And now they get Ekblad back, and they're getting Weir back. And well, I just think that Florida being able to hold down the second spot in this division, I didn't think that they'd be able to get into the playoffs or they'd be making a late push to get a wild card spot because they were absolutely hammered by the end of the last playoffs. Like they wouldn't have been able 2 more games and they may have had to throw out their AHL roster because all their NHL guys were hurt. It was dire straits for them. So Florida being where they are, they're getting a really good goaltending and they're just kind of doing what they need to at this point. And Kachuk, he's found a home. And Florida's my surprise. They're about 7 points behind Boston, but as of now, they'd be a playoff team. The Metro, New York, Carolina, Philly, still they're a game behind Carolina. New York is running away with this thing. New York is their plus 20 goal differential right now. They're 8-2-0 in their last 10. They've been looking absolutely deadly over there in that Eastern Conference. Yeah, I mean, you can say that, but if you win and beat the teams that you should beat, and you got a plus 20 goal differential, and you're 8-2 at home, 10-2 on the road, what are we looking at here as the weakness for New York? I mean,
New York's it's offensive firepower from depth positions, and that's exactly what happened last year in the playoffs. The year before is like they couldn't score on the non-power play minutes. It's their depth scoring, and that's what the main problem will be. New York and look, there's only one other team that I think has a halfway chance of catching them, and that's Carolina, because the Flyers aren't going to catch them eventually. Look, they may go on a little bit of run, but I don't think they will. The Islanders are hot and cold. The Capitals are playing for fucking one thing this year. That's Ovechkin breaking Gretzky's record of most goals of all time. The Penguins are fucking growing gray hair by the day. The Devils cannot stay on the ice. And do I even need to talk about the Blue Jackets? Like this division is a 2-man race, and it's everybody else being like, who wants it less? who wants it less? It's crazy what the difference between the Atlantic and Metro is, because like I said, I see fucking 6 playoff teams possibly, 7 out of the Atlantic, and I see 2 Cup contenders out of the Metro, and that's not even Cup contenders. That's Eastern Conference contenders out of the Metro.
There's at least 5 Atlantic teams because the 2 wild cards are also Atlantic teams, Toronto and Tampa. Washington, New York, 1 game behind Tampa Bay for that second wild card spot. But now Vasilevsky's getting back once he kind of gets ingratiated with the roster. Kucherov Kucherov can do this where he goes on certain runs and you're like, wow, that guy's the best. But I go back to just that Cup final against Colorado, and sure, he was disappointed that was going to be the end of this run for Tampa Bay. But the fact that he quit, the fact that he threw his gloves into the bench and didn't even play for that last little bit of the last game there where they lost the Cup to Colorado, I don't think that it's consistent. I have worries about this team now, and I thought that they would be sitting a little bit higher than they were when Vasilevsky finally came back. They got a lot of work to do, but here's the thing. I think their coaching is what's going to push them to that level. I don't trust Toronto. Toronto still has to earn my trust. They earned my trust in the first round last year, but then I think they got swept in the second round. What the fuck, dude? There's more than 1 round of the playoffs. Have you been eliminated so often that you forget? No. There's 4 rounds of the playoffs. Get it together.
There's one overlaying effect that, in my opinion, with Tampa Bay, and it's the Stamkos free agency. They refuse to talk to him, and look, they have no money, and so not even tell the guy who wore the C on his chest for, what was it, 15 years, 10-15 years, at least 10
forever.
At least 10 years. Like, to not even give that guy like a conversation, be like, you know what, like I don't know if we're gonna be able to make a deal because of where the money is allocated across the team. So not even have a conversation with him, that just shows that the Lightning may be ready to just rebuild entirely. And it's weird saying that, but they may going into next year, like Kucherov's getting older, hadn't been, so on the last couple legs, he just hit 1,000 games. Like, he's on his last couple legs. Stamkos may not be there. It may be time for a reset after next year. I'm not saying this year. They still a playoff team this year. I'm saying next year, it may be time for the reset may be closer than you think, Tampa fans.
Looking just towards the bottom. So for the bottom of the Eastern Conference, we have Buffalo, which is embarrassing for me because I gave them a lot of credit at the beginning
I
of the
give Ottawa a
season.
lot of credit. They're the worst team in that division.
They're the worst
yeah.
team in the Eastern Conference. They have about 18 points right now. Columbus sitting at 20 points. So from the top at 37 all the way down to the bottom at 18. The Eastern Conference, for as tough as it is up top, it does get a little bit weak towards the bottom. But then we look over at the West, and the playoff teams sit as such. From the Central, Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg. Winnipeg is a surprise there. I'm just going to put that out there right away. But right now, Colorado 32, 31, and 30 in the Central Division right now. That's a tight race.
Hellbuck just carries that team every
always. Even in NHL, I fucking hate having Winnipeg in that first round of the playoffs.
He's going to win the Vezina because of how poor the rest of that team is. And look, this is a team that lost Scheifele, lost Blake Wheeler, and they're in a playoff spot because of one guy. If you're a team like Edmonton, if you're a team like Toronto, or a team that has a real cup aspiration because your offense, you go call Winnipeg and see what it takes to get Hellbuck, because this guy on a damn good team in front of them could win a cup. And I'm serious, because what he does with the little he has, it's crazy to me.
Yeah, no, somebody should get him out of there, because he's doing a lot with very little. I can't believe that they're there, because they've had so much back behind the scenes issues, like in the locker room and the coaching. It's been bad.
Yeah, it's John Gibson the last 3-4 years, where he was like a top 3 goalie in hockey, but there's no one scoring any goals and just doing nothing. like look, Winnipeg all of a sudden, like, it's a weak division. It really is a weak division, and they have a chance to still make the playoffs with them. But like, do you really think that Winnipeg has a chance of beating the top dogs in this conference? And I don't think a lot of people will say yes, unless Hellbuck can steal a game. We know that goalies can steal games in playoffs, but he won't be able to steal a series against the teams like in the West.
I don't know. I mean, the team that's going to catch them is Arizona. Possibly, they're 2 points behind them.
Yotes have won 5 in a a against 5 teams,
including the Avalanche.
5 most recent teams that won the cup, and this is a team that's still playing at 3,500 person arena. Let's not forget. Logan Cooley looks like an absolute stud for them, so they did good in the draft. They're not anywhere near where they could be in terms of contenders, but look, it's a team that was all very, very thought of about getting moved. And look, I have Arizona ties, so like I have a soft spot for the Arizona teams, except the Suns. So I have a soft spot because I have people who work for them. And like I said, the Yotes being halfway decent and something to cheer about, I think it's good for that state.
No, and they took on the personality of being in a college arena. They're kind of like that college dude at the bar, where they don't really understand that they shouldn't just go out and pick a fight with anybody. But then since they do, and they have that bravado, the person that they're fighting kind of backs down a little bit. And that's what happened in that Avalanche game. They didn't expect Arizona to play the way that they did, even though Arizona's been this way for the last 3 years. Like, you don't want to tussle in Mullet Arena. Going to Mullet Arena, as small as it is, as a visiting team, you're in a shack. You're changing at the truck stop across the street. You basically don't even have a dressing room in the arena, so you have a huge home ice advantage.
And you're getting yelled at by college kids on the ice. You can hear everything.
Just the most amount of privilege that you can hear dripping from those stands. I'm sorry. I know you went to college in Arizona, but I'm going to stand behind that.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Arizona has its look, it's a warm weather state for a reason, and there's a reason why ASU and U of A has its aura behind it. But yeah, I know having that many college kids just breathing down your neck in a 3,500 arena, where literally the guys in the nosebleeds can hear the puck wrap around. Like it's
you hear everything.
It's college basketball in the NHL. Like it's literally that on top of each other.
Yeah. One thing before we move from the Central, just looking at the Avalanche specifically, because we're a Colorado podcast, so we might as well talk about some of the best athletes. I know that the Nuggets are the defending champions, so they get the shine now, and the Avalanche have to earn their way back into the moniker of the state. Looking at it, Cale Makar right now sitting at 34 points on the season. He's leading the team. Mikko Rantanen, 12 goals. He leads the team in that category. Makar also leads in assists. Colton leads in penalty minutes, which honestly, if you know what role he was brought in to play and the fact that he signed a contract and he's going to be here for a while, I'm good with that. He should be leading penalty minutes. He's there to be like that little bit of a spark plug that you don't want to play against on that second/third line. And then for obviously plus minus, Cale Makar is going to have the best numbers there, 18. He's also playing damn near 30 minutes a night, 24, 27. I will say, outside of the few injuries, there's some things that I can take away from the Avalanche that are very positive. Val Nichushkin looks like Val from the playoff run. Seems like he's gotten over whatever the hell happened in the postseason last year.
Yeah, new father,
and everything like that. So things are looking up that direction. Johansson is finding his role. Like, you fill that Landeskog role. I don't need you to be fast enough to keep up with everybody on the ice. Plant your big ass in front of the goaltender and chip in those pucks that get knocked down in front of the net. That's all I need you to do. Mac and Mikko are going to shoot. You collect the trash. It's D3. Collect the trash. Collect the damn trash. And that's what Ryan Johansson does. What have you seen from the Avalanche that makes you most excited about what they could possibly do this season?
Well, Georgiev has been a number one goalie. He's a top 5 goalie in hockey right now, in my opinion. Like he has played great hockey. And look, this is a defense that is depleted. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? Cale Makar is missing, as we're recording this, missing the game against the Ducks. You have Sammy G. I hope the best for him, but he's on the NHL leave list, getting help, which is awesome for him.
We haven't talked about that.
I'm glad he's getting the help he needs, and then you look at like Bo Byram has been hot and cold this season. You lost Eric Johnson. This is a defense that is relying very, very heavily on your favorite player and Josh Manson, and relying heavily on Bo Byram. And Bo Byram did not have a great start to the year. He's been very recently, but this defense is depleted, and the fact that they're winning this many games is a kudos to what Georgiev has done as the number one goalie and being the guy. Like I said, giving a chance, saying you're our guy, it goes a long way. It really does. It really goes a long way. Giving a goaltender the confidence of being like, you know what, you're our guy. We'll give you a night off every now and then, but you're our guy, and we're sticking with that. And he has taken that confidence and ran away with the job and been the guy because, like I said, the Elves don't have a number 2 right now. It's fucking Eustace and Noonan. Like, they do not have a number 2 right now. I think it's Prosvetov is the other guy that's gotten a couple games.
He played on Saturday against.
Those are not quality number 2. So being able to lead the pack and be the guy, I think it's been huge for him. And I think we're seeing a year from him that is much needed in terms of what's happened so far in front of him.
Josh Manson is your benchmark for defense, what you're relying on. He has that one play in the cup run where he got in there and made a save. That's why he's my favorite player, and he plays with a little bit of grit, but that if you're relying on him for your defense, that's problematic. Pacific, Vegas has the lead by 4 games over Vancouver. Vancouver still holding serve, sitting at 33 points right now. And then LA, we knew LA was going to be a very good team coming into the season. They have 31 points. The 2 wildcard teams are from the Central, and then Nashville hanging out 3 points behind St. Louis, but those are 2. Arizona would have the first wild card, and St. Louis would have the second. So it would be an Avs Blues matchup in the first round of the playoffs, and it would be a Vegas Arizona matchup, which would be kind of fun. Battle of the Desert.
That would be fun. Those are 2 good fun playoff matchups, in my opinion.
Do you think that the Kings can put, because nobody is giving Vancouver the credit to be able to push Vegas?
Vancouver's a damn good hockey team right now. Vancouver's a damn good hockey team. Do you think that they can dethrone
Vegas then? Who's going to beat Vegas for the Pacific?
Look, it's 4 points. We're very early in the season, so we're not even have the halfway point. I think Vancouver is a very, very good team. I love what Taka has done over there. I think he's an absolute major piece in turning that organization they thought was dead in the water after they traded Horvat away last summer. And they've completely done a 360, and they're a damn good team. That's because Demko has been unreal too to start the year. And obviously having the Quinn Hughes be the man defensively, he's showed why he was a top pick in the draft. So Vancouver's a damn good team. Look, I keep going back to this, but there's still one team in this division that could go on a stupid run and sneak
Don't
into
say
a
it.
wild card playoff team. And
Please
it's the
don't
San
say it.
Jose Sharks. I'm joking. I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm joking.
Darren, that
No,
one's for you.
the Oilers.
That boy
the Oilers,
fadeaway at VSN.
the Oilers are not making the playoffs. Like they have to win. They have to go on 100. I saw some stat where I think it was a week or two ago. They have to go on a 110-point pace to make the playoffs after this terrible start. That's not good. It's not
Their
good.
goaltender can't stop a beach ball right now.
So, they don't have one guy they can rely on. So
No.
the wild card team here, in my opinion, is the Kraken and the Flames because the Kraken haven't been healthy, and Calgary is just so hot and cold all season. It's really a 3-man race here. But I'd be surprised if the Kraken and the Flames weren't in contention for the wild card spot at the end of the year. I think they'll be in contention. Do I think they get? No, but I think they'll be in contention.
All right. That's a good amount of NHL talk. Just real quickly, going to look over at the NBA standings. I mentioned I'm watching the in-season tournament. Milwaukee's ahead of New York. I'm watching on Tuesday, so that I believe the tournament's going to be over by the time you're listening to this episode.
It won't be over. They'll be in Vegas starting the finals of the tournament because the first round of the playoffs, well, not playoffs, first round of the Cup playoffs went on on Monday night where the Pelicans beat the Kings and then the Pacers beat the Celtics, which is a little bit of a surprise here.
So we were right last week. Boston wasn't taking that shit seriously.
No,
They're like, get me out of here. I don't want to do this.
Milwaukee is taking this seriously, so that may be the team that should be the favorite to win this right now. We'll see what the Suns and Lakers game looks like. We haven't watched that. Obviously, you're listening to this. The game's already happened, but I'm sure to see what that game looked like. But I find it hard-pressed to bet against anyone beating Milwaukee in this tournament. If anyone does it, I think it could be the Pacers because their stupid up and down play that they do. Up and down, scoring 130 points, 120 points a game.
300, 400, 500. So, if they score 6, we're going to score 601. I don't give a shit.
And look, I know I gave a lot of shit to this tournament. Beginning of the year, Adam Silver did pretty good. I'll tell you what. Like, it really is giving. Like, look, it's not much meaning. Don't get me wrong. I'm not fucking, oh my God, this is much, but it's
the NBA Cup. The NBA Cup.
People are these games are like real doesn't feel like playoff game, but it feels like there's real stakes, I hope, because of the amount of money each player can win. So like it doesn't feel like there's a little.
That's the only reason I have it on.
Yeah, that's very fair. But like I said, it's done a decent job of bringing eyes to the game before Christmas, and that's all I think that Adam Silver cares about.
It's great, and we're talking about it, so it's obviously not like it's worthless or anything like that. Looking at the standings, just going to take a quick peek. Eastern Conference, Boston 1, Orlando 2, Milwaukee tied with them at 3, Philly 4, New York 5, Indiana 6, Miami 7, Cleveland 8, Brooklyn 9, and Atlanta 10. Best team out of the last 10 is going to be your Orlando Magic. 9-1 in the last 10, baby. Is Shaq playing? Did I miss Penny Hardaway coming back?
Orlando has
what the hell is Orlando doing up there?
Orlando has some really, really good young talents. Anthony Black, they have Jalen Suggs they drafted last year. Paolo Banchero. Actually, sorry, Anthony Black isn't on the team, but Paolo Banchero being the number one guy on that team, he's taking that second-year sophomore leap. Franz Wagner, the German, like the Dirk product, playing center for them. He's been very, very good. They have guys like Cole Anthony, who you can put up the ticker. You probably don't know who the hell these guys' names are.
I've had to delete it because we put more tickers in there. But yeah, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah, Cole Anthony is a very, very good player at college in North Carolina, but he's done a really, really good job this start of the year. And they have a guy, Markelle Fultz, who was a number 1 overall pick, who found a home in Orlando and has done a really good job with what he's been given so far. So, look, do I think Orlando has sustainability of being a contender in the East? No, they don't. It's zero chance about that. They maybe, but do I think this team's 3 or 4 years away from that? Possibly. I think it's closer than teams like Atlanta, who were in Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago. So they have real aspirations with that young team, and like I said, it's fun to see new teams, new blood, new dogs in the fight, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, no, and then looking over at the Western Conference, let's see. Minnesota, Oklahoma City, and Denver tied
Minnesota's the
2
best
games
team
back.
in basketball right now. Minnesota is the
Yeah.
best team in basketball. It's weird saying that, but Minnesota definitely is. What that team over there and what
Kermit.
Anthony Edwards and company have done. Minnesota is a team that, look, I called it before the season. I said this team is going to be hosting a playoff series, maybe hosting 2. They're that good. They are that good, and they're finally figuring it out.
Verbal meme, Pat Bev on the scores table. Yes. And I'm gonna tell you right now, my girlfriend's family is a Minnesota fan. So if her brother's listening to this, he's gone to Vegas for the first time. So I have no clue if he's actually listening to this right now. But when he does listen to this, Hayden, congratulations. Minnesota's the number 1 team in the NBA.
You still lost in 5 to us, and made
I was gonna say I have I don't know what it was, but Raleigh and I were like in Gunnison, and I was on one. I was talking about the NBA, which you've influenced me over the last 4 years of this show. You have influenced me because I'm talking about the NBA, and she got a voice memo me like, "We have Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns," and her dad just sent back like, "What in the hell did I just listen to?" I was like, "That's your son trying to explain why the Nuggets beating the Timberwolves actually makes sense because we had too many big men on the floor." I was like, dude, no, just accept. Like, Denver beat you that year because we were better than you. That's all that
Minnesota is built to beat us. Let's not forget. Like what Tim Connolly, the guy
Tim
who
Connolly
left us,
wants to beat the shit out of us. Are you kidding?
It doesn't matter what they do. If they beat the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs, they fucking make their goal. Okay, if they go past that, then man, they're real championship hopes. Is all I'm gonna say. Because Tim Connolly built this offense, built this defense to stop Jokic and stop Jamal Murray and company. And through one game, they beat us this year. But through this far of the season, this team has looked sustainable and been a very, very good team.
Yeah, they're sitting at 15-4 right now. Like I said, Oklahoma City number 2 in the West, Denver 3. They're tied. Denver
still
technically
undefeated at home. Another week down, another undefeated at home. So we'll see if that continues. But
we don't sit until we score, baby.
You don't lose home games. I think good things are going to happen. So keep that going.
To the window. Number 4, Phoenix, 3.5 games back of Minnesota. Sacramento, number 5. Dallas, 6. LA Lakers, number 7. Pelicans, number 8. Clippers, number 9. And then Houston rounding out number 10. Golden State sitting half a game back. It is so weird to talk about Golden State being outside of the playoff picture looking in, but I'm not going to lie to you.
Not even just a play-in picture.
Play-in picture, yeah, not playoff picture. Play-in picture.
Yeah, no, the Golden State has been. Look, Andrew Wiggins, after that one heroic season, that's his fucking Jimmer season. Like he'll never have that again. I'll tell you that. So, congratulations, Warriors fans. You traded all those young guys away, James Wiseman, Jordan Poole, and you got older by adding in Chris Paul. Crazy what happens when you add older players to an older, aging team, and what happens. And I'm sorry, Fat Boy Fadeaway, but I think I'm not wrong when I say this. Getting older did nothing for your team.
They'd probably agree with you. From what I've been hearing on Talking the Gridiron, basketball hasn't been the greatest subject to talk about. Speaking of which, let's transition to some football. It's time for picks. Before we get into it, Nico, do you want to address the people? Because let's get the elephant in the room. You went 0-5.
Oh, I did. Shoot, I did. I didn't know that.
5. I went 2-3 because I had Indianapolis, I had Houston. But we both, the last 3 games of the weekend didn't go well.
Now that makes sense because I had a terrible betting week. And so now I understand where it all came from. But not great. No, not great.
So the records going into this week, are you ready for this? I'm 36-35. You are 38-32 on the season. Closer, 2 more wins, 3 less losses. It is neck and neck. And we're going to give the update after we do the picks. But since I'm going on a cruise, my family decided to go on a cruise for Christmas this year. We're changing up our tradition. I don't know whether it's going to be good or bad. As an Italian and a superstitious person, I'm kind of thinking like lightning's going to strike the boat. But I'm keeping that outside of my mind for now. But we're going to have to make our picks.
My family did that 2 years ago, right before COVID. Yeah, 2-3 years ago. 3 years.
See, right before COVID.
Not bad.
Before COVID.
Everyone's got to do it once. So
it's
yeah,
weird
have
because
Christmas on a damn ship
it's
once.
in my 26 years, I have never not celebrated Christmas Eve at my grandmother's house or somebody on my mom's side of the family's house. So it'll be a little bit interesting, but we are going to have kind of like we did a couple weeks ago. So we're going to do a pick segment, which we're going to be recording after we record this episode. You guys will see us. We'll be in a costume change or whatever you want to call it, but we're going to be making picks, and then we're going to be re-releasing old episodes, but we're going to have to make like picks for week 15 and week 17 tonight. It's going to be a little bit interesting, but moving forward, there's only like a 4 games worth of separation. So if I win a couple games back on you, you end up having a couple bad weeks. Things could turn around in a hurry.
Things have not been going well so far. So good change. Good change. Very
6 games to pick this week, and we're kicking things off on Thursday Night Football. It's ugly. I'm not happy about it.
I want to spend less than 2 minutes on this game. Okay, I'm picking.
There we go.
Steelers.
So we're starting at 1 hour.
I'm picking the Steelers. This is the Patriots are horrendous. I'm not going to watch this game. I'm not going to watch this game. Plain and simple. Okay, this is the horrendous game. Give me the Steelers.
I wish I was out of the country for this game. The Patriots losing 6-0, 0 points against the Chargers, and we all know what Brandon Staley is right now, and that's nothing.
I can't believe
that is nothing. Give me the as much as I hate the Steelers, give me the Steelers.
I'm surprised it wasn't scoregami. I don't think anything's happened 6-0 in the last fucking 50 years. I'll tell you what.
Speaking of never happening in the last 60 years, Jake Browning, like I said, leads the Bengals to an overtime win on Monday Night Football. Now he has Gardner Minshew, the hot-ass Colts, coming into Cincinnati. They're favored by a point. I went against them last week, and it bit me in the ass. It would have given me another goddamn game. We would have been within 1 of each other. I've finally gotten over that trivia hump, Nico. I'm sticking with my boys. I brought out the Hawaiian shirt for a reason. You think I'd look like this? I look ridiculous. But I'm going with the Bengals, baby. Give me the Jake Browning. Jake Browning only have 5 incompletions is unprecedented, man.
There's a couple ways I could pick this game. I could pick it with the hoping that the Broncos can still make the playoffs, and that's weirdly enough picking the Bengals because the Colts are ahead of both of us. The Colts are ahead of both of us right now. Yes, the Bengals are still in the playoff picture. Yes, I know all hell's breaking loose, but it hasn't, and there's still a chance. I said it last week. I said the Bengals still have a chance to make the playoffs. You win this week, see what happens, and look what happens. All of a sudden, you were sitting right at 6-6 with a game out. So I'm going to pick the Bengals here because I think that we both need the Colts to win or lose. Both need the Colts to lose. How the fucking Indianapolis Colts went into Tennessee and beat the Titans with Gardner Minshew is I will never know. Okay, I didn't watch that game because the Broncos game was on at the same time. But I look over and I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
Wait a second. Tennessee had to make it like a 24-point comeback with Will Levis to make it to overtime. I was close on that one. I started off the weekend 9-0 because my mom's office does a pool of all the games. I had a 9-0 start to the weekend, Nico, and then it all just fell apart at the afternoon games. So we're not going to talk about that.
I was disgusted. I was like, "Come on, Tennessee, you're better than that." But I guess they're not. So.
Apparently,
give me the Bengals. I need it. You need it.
Come on, Nico. Ready? Who they say gonna beat them Bengals? We're still fighting. Who they say gonna beat them Bengals? No,
we're in the same position fighting for the playoffs. Still, I can't do that yet.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Moving to your game, Broncos at Chargers. Nico, I'm gonna put the line up here, and I want to see your reaction live. 3? Really?
Look,
have you not watched the Chargers play?
I listen to a lot of sports betting shows because of the degenerate I am. I'm gonna get a shirt that says "The Degenerate," then just fucking wear it around to the show. But look, the reason when you see a -3 line, and it's for a home team, it's literally home field advantage. That's the only reason why it is because these teams are about even, and you know what? I think the home team will win. You go back to the previous line, the Colts and Bengals -1 for the Colts. The betting favorite is the Colts, -1. You see a -3. You see a -3 up, and it's the home team. That means they're giving home field advantage to that team, and that they think that well, the Chargers are good enough to win at home by 3 points at minimum. That's basically just win by a field goal. That's how they do these lines. I'm picking the Broncos. I think this is look. This could be the nail in the coffin. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. Because for whatever reason, the Patriots defense held the Chargers to 6 points. Let me repeat that. The Patriots defense held the Chargers to 6 points. The Chargers couldn't get a touchdown in New England against one of the worst teams in the league. Yeah, give me the Broncos getting back on track. The boys get one back, and I think we win this one. I look a +3. I'm going to take it, obviously, but I'm going to take the money line because I think we win this game. I think we get ourselves back in a position after a terrible loss last week. Hopefully, figure it out and get back on track.
You're not going to have to put Russell Wilson in positions to outduel CJ Stroud. I think that's what killed the Broncos last week. I'm going to go a little throwback to last week because you brought this up. Do I or do I not have a pulse? Yes. And is Brandon Staley the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers? But we've said it. You can take the team out of San Diego, but you can't take the San Diego out of the team. I know Sean Payton is going to outcoach Brandon Staley. I know Sean Payton is not going to give Russell Wilson more than 20 attempts passing. And I know for a fact in those 20 attempts, Russell Wilson's probably going to throw 10 of those out of bounds. Yet this is the week where you're going to be able to run block. You're going to be able to get that going. And I see the Broncos beating the Chargers, so I'm on Broncos too. We're both on Denver for that one. We're in lockstep this week.
And look, I hate wanting awards not halfway, but like 3/4 of the way through a season. But what Sean Payton has done with this fucking shitty ass roster is fucking to behold. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, the fact that this team is in playoff contention, like with how untalented this team is, goes to show how good of a coach he is. Okay, so I look, he has coached circles around everybody around him. It was literally just the talent that helped Houston get past us last week. But the last 6 weeks, I would say that he has outcoached every single person that he's coached against the last 5-6 weeks. So we'll see what this team does going forward. But I like this team trying to stay in the playoffs.
I think it's fair. We're both on the Broncos. We haven't had a pick against each other so far. Moving to Sunday Night Football, Eagles at Cowboys. Eagles got shellacked. That was surprising. I did not expect it to be that way. I wasn't saying that the 49ers couldn't win, but I didn't think it'd be the way that they did. It was personal, and it was personal all the way to the end, all the way down to DeAndre Swift getting his ass lit up when you're down by 30 in the fourth quarter. You cannot tell me that San Francisco didn't want that damn game. And congratulations, 49ers fans. You guys won the Super Bowl in Week 13. I want to give you a standing ovation, but I don't even have the ability to do that.
I don't know if you saw the fucking the audacity of Twitter and not Twitter, X now, giving Brock Purdy the MVP. I was like, I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
Hold on.
Hold on a second. I'm not on talking the gridiron, but you can say this point for me when you talk about it. Brock Purdy is not the MVP of that team. It's fucking Run CMC, okay? Both you and I know this, that if Run CMC is playing football for this team, they're a good team. He's not playing.
It's incredible.
They're not good. Like you can make that point for me when you talk to them next, because you'll talk to them Sunday.
I tried to tell them. I was like, look up his high school highlights. You'll see exactly what I saw at 15 years old. I'm standing on the sidelines of Heritage High School. We're going up against Valor Christian. Oh yeah, I've heard about this Christian McCaffrey guy. First play of the game, they kick off to us because they subscribe to the Little Giants theory. We're going to kick it off, take it from you, and then ram it down your throat. On the opening kickoff, the fastest guy on our team gets hit at the 15-yard line on the kickoff return by Christian McCaffrey. His helmet rolls through the back of the end zone. That was how the game started. And that was not even his number one position. That was just a kickoff at high school. Christian McCaffrey's been the best player on the field since then.
He's the best player on that team. And like I said, it's a team of Trent Williams, very, very talented, probably top 2 best left tackle in football, if not the best. Nick Bosa, who was a defensive player of the year last year, or maybe the year before, whenever it was. I don't remember who it was, or if it's TJ Watt, whatever. You have Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. George Kittle's a top 3 tight end in football. Deebo Samuel, top 15 receiver in football, after especially what we did last week. The best player on the field is number 23, okay? And I will stand on that fact, okay? If McCaffrey is in the game, doesn't matter what Brock Purdy does, all he has to do is look for 23, okay?
All you got
Like,
to do is exist
I
between
know
the snap
Tyler is
and you getting Christian the ball.
I know Tyler is all over Brock Purdy this, Brock Purdy that, Brock Purdy this, Brock Purdy that. If number 13 does not see number 23 on the field, shit fucking doesn't go right. Okay? He sees little fucking 5'11" Christian, maybe 6 foot. I don't know if he's 6 foot. 5'11", 6 foot Christian McCaffrey, number 23 on the field next to him. He's like, oh God, all right. Worst case scenario, we know where the fucking ball's going, okay? And that's exactly what they do. And I know Deebo had a great game last week. I know Brock Purdy threw for a lot of touchdowns last week. You get McCaffrey the ball, everybody gets fucking open. That's why he's the most valuable player on that team. I will stand on this fact. I will, and I'll argue up a wall.
Look at the last time Shanahan had a number 1 running back to go to in Terrell Davis. They won back-to-back Super Bowls. I mean, Kyle hasn't been able to do that, but goddamn, he has Christian McCaffrey.
John Elway, at the end of his career, when he won the last 2 Super Bowls, was not the John Elway of the fucking first 8 years of his career, okay? When they were making
play
Super
for
Bowls,
6 weeks in the second one. Bubby
Like
Brister
he-
was the starting quarterback for 6 weeks for the
that was-
98 season.
That was TD's team, okay? That was TD's team. And this is Christian McCaffrey's team. I hate to say it, San Francisco, but
I don't know why we're talking about the 49ers when we're supposed to be talking about the Eagles and Cowboys, but you get the gist. This game takes on now, so after the Eagles lose to the 49ers, which I was being tongue-in-cheek there. I know that we spent 15 minutes talking about the 49ers. It was warranted because of what they did to the Eagles. And in fact, I did turn that replay on. So I'm watching that game back as I'm recording this episode. But now that the Eagles lost to the 49ers, if the Cowboys beat the Eagles, the Cowboys take over number 1 in the AFC East. And the Eagles fall not only from the number 1 seed, but all the way down to a wild card team, because they would no longer have the tiebreaker over the Cowboys because the Cowboys have a better winning percentage against the NFC, and they would also have the same record, plus you wipe out that head-to-head victory from earlier on in the season if the Cowboys get the win at home. They're favored by 3.5. They've looked really good. The Eagles, we've said the last few weeks, they're killing themselves. They're burning the candle at both ends. How do you continue to win these really, really close games? And then it all just ended up falling apart last week. I think you can kind of chalk it up to that. Is this the weekend we see Dallas take that next step? They almost beat them last year in Dallas with a backup quarterback. Might I remind you?
Jimmy,
what do you think?
How many wins does the Dallas Cowboys have over winning teams? 1. That was last week.
1.
They finally got their monkey off their back, and it took a fucking Dallas Cowboy comeback to do it. Let's not forget. Yeah, the Eagles don't lose back to back. I don't remember the last time the Eagles lost back to back games. I really don't. I think I want to say probably beginning of last year, because they've only had 2 losses this year, and both were very spread apart. Look, I'm taking the Eagles, and I'm flying with it all the way. Cowboys, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs for you, for the Dallas Cowboys for me. I need to see you beat good teams. Plain and simple. They finally got a win against a decent team last week. I forgot who they played last week, but I know it was over a winning team with a winning record. Who was it last week?
Let's see. I'm looking it up now. So the Seahawks. They had a comeback win against the Seahawks.
The Seahawks should have won that football game. Let's not forget. Seahawks were up most of that game, and the Cowboys snuck back in and won that football game. So yeah, and look, the Seahawks aren't a team that I have high aspirations for, in my opinion. That team is still not Geno Smith. It looks like the Geno Smith that was not very good in the last 3-4 years before last season. So yeah, no, I'm taking the Eagles. They don't lose back to back. The Cowboys, prove it to me, and then I'll start picking you. But no, give me the Eagles.
I sleep next to Rocky every night. He's told me bet on the Birds. The Birds don't lose back to back, especially, we're going to go into Dallas. We're going to ruin Jerry's world. Okay, and then I'm going to have a sausage hoagie on the way out of there. Did you see that damn Dom D'Alessandro guy, or Tommy D, whatever, is security guy for Nick Sirianni getting into the fight on the sidelines? With that, we're 100% on the same page right now, and that brings us to the Monday night doubleheader. First game, Packers, 6.5-point favorites against the Giants. This game has turned in to a little bit of who's relevant, who's going to continue to be. The Packers got a huge win last weekend and look to possibly do the same thing. It's not this. Beating the Giants is not the same as beating the Chiefs, but the Giants are surging under Tommy DeVito. They're surging under the Sopranos king, the king, and everything like that. It's hard for me to pick against a fellow Italian boy. He's born in Jersey. He's got that Jersey juice. I'm finally going to start buying into the Packers. I'm going to take the cheeseheads here. I think Wisconsin gets a huge win against Tommy Cutlets. What say you?
I'm going to make a statement on this show right now that I could turn into a horrible take in fucking 7 weeks. The Green Bay Packers are making the playoffs. Yeah, you heard me. Listen to the rest of their schedule, Jimmy. They face the New York Football Giants this weekend, Tampa Bay Buccaneers the next weekend, Carolina Panthers the next week, Vikings in Minnesota, and then finish the season with the Bears. Jordan Love is going to get the Green Bay Packers to the playoffs. They'll be a wild card team. I don't know if they'll win the division, but they will be in the playoffs.
If he's a wild card team, that's when Aaron Rodgers won the last Super Bowl for the Packers.
They have beat 3 very good football teams. Actually, not very. The Chargers are fucking shit, but they were decent 3 weeks ago. Let's not forget. Okay, the Chargers, people were really high on the Chargers 3 weeks ago, but they beat 3 teams that with championship / playoff hopes, and the Lions, Chargers, and Chiefs back to back to back. They've gotten through the hardest part of the schedule by far and away. Hardest part of the schedule is behind them. If you tell me that the Packers need to win 4 games, right? They need to get to 10 and 7? 10-7 to make the playoffs. I say they do it. I absolutely say they do it. I think they beat the Giants. I think they beat the Panthers. Hell, the Bears will be playing for Caleb Williams final week, so there's 4 right there. And then the last 2 are remain to be seen. I think they make the playoffs. I really do. And so give me the Packers here. It's weird saying that after the start they had, but Jordan Love has those boys believe it. And they have those boys believe it. So I think the Packers make the playoffs, and I think they definitely win this weekend. And they win 4 out of the last, 6 games? 4 of the last 6 games.
Damn, we're in lockstep right now all the way through, and I don't think it's going to change up for the last Monday Night Football game because we got Tennessee going to Miami. Miami favored by 13. Is it time that we start giving them the credit? Like, can they not only beat bad teams? It doesn't matter this week because Tennessee is below 500, and Miami tends to beat the shit out of these teams anyways. But I said it on Talking the Gridiron. Whose bright idea was it on the Commanders not to play safety over the top of Tyreek Hill? I mean, who's the genius that came up with that playbook, that game plan? And he should be fired immediately on the spot, never allowed to come within 50 feet of Raljon Stadium ever again. What in the hell are we doing? There's 3 things constant in life: death, taxes, and you put a safety over the top of Tyreek Hill's head.
It's wild that look, Tyreek Hill has solidified himself as this generation's just unbelievable talent at the receiver position. Like he has revolutionized the position. He's short, he's small, but man, he can be everybody. He can outrun everybody, and I mean everybody on the field. The Dolphins, look, Mike McDaniel has done an absolutely incredible job with this team. Because every single week he is told Tua, hey, you see that fucking 12 gauge you got over there in Tyreek Hill? You see that absolute bazooka you have over there in Jalen Waddle? You see you have probably the fastest running back in the NFL, Raheem Mostert behind you? You see all this talent around you?
Not slow.
You have all this talent around you? What do you think you got to do? Get them in open space and good things happen. Plain and simple. Tua is not taking hits. He's getting the ball out, and he's giving the ball to the playmakers. And look, this defense of the Dolphins has improved over the last couple of weeks. Jalen Ramsey has been a great addition. Finally getting him healthy and back in the lineup has been big for them. And now, look, they lose Jalen Phillips. That's going to hurt them off the edge. But you still have Bradley Chubb there, who's going to be a big presence off the edge. Look, they beat this Tennessee Titans team easily. I hate that we're always lockstep through here, but we are. But I cannot pick against the Dolphins. I really can't. If the Titans somehow win this football game, I'd be very, very surprised.
Yeah, I'm more than fine taking a loss on my record if the Titans somehow find a way to win this one. That's fine. We'll be in lockstep this week, and we're about to record picks for week 15 and then week 17. So we're about to try and make 2 blind picks in a row. So it may end up turning on us really quickly. We might both drop under 500. As of now, that's the one good thing that I'm taking from this. We're both over 500. It may just be by game. Okay, people? I may be 36-35. But damn it, I know my college football. So that's all I gotta say, because I just gotta rely on the fact that I called the college football playoff the way that it went. Recap: we have the Steelers, the Bengals, the Broncos, the Eagles, the Packers, and the Dolphins winning in Week 14. As you're listening, be sure to tune in live next Tuesday for the College Bowl Pick'em Show. The week after, well, actually that same week, we're going to be dropping our picks for Week 15, as well as a review classic episode. We're going to be playing when the Nuggets won their championship, so that's going to be coming out next Thursday. Live Tuesday with the Pick'em Show, Thursday with the release of the classic episode and our Week 15 picks, and then the following week, so not Week 16 but Week 17, we're going to have picks. That's going to be when I'm out of town for traveling with family on a cruise, but we will still get you picks. We will be re-releasing. Yep, that'll be the holiday break. We will be releasing another episode that week, so you will still get content. We'll be able to take a little bit of a break that week. We're going to replay the episode we released after the Bengals lost the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So Nuggets championship recap coming up next Thursday, and then 2 weeks after that, the Bengals heartbreaker losing the Super Bowl to the Rams. Following that up, Nick, that was an awesome hour and 20 minutes. We talked a lot. We argued a little bit, even though we were making the same point. And we're lockstep in our NFL opinions. We both know ball at this point, is what I'm going to say.
Obviously, I don't, because I went 0-5 last week. I pray to God I don't go 0-5 this week. That means we both went 0-5 this week. So let's hope we don't have another bad tune of fortune going into next week.
Yeah, we got 6 games. Hopefully we make it out at least 3-3, maybe even a little bit above 500. Be sure to follow at FEOTB Pod. You can see it on your screens. Be sure to follow the Variety Sports Network at Variety_Sports_. Check out Talking the Gridiron. Be sure to go back, listen to our live episode from last week, and we post a lot of content now. So if you follow, subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell, stay in the loop, become a bench warmer, all that great stuff. We're coming up on year 3.5 of the podcast. So we enjoyed bringing it to you guys every week. For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host, Nico Bryant, episode 163 of the Far End of the Bench podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.